One of the women running in the women's section of the London Marathon is someone named Glenn, who for the last 2 years has gone by Glenique. Glenn Frank, who just gave an interview to the press on what his performance in the London Marathon means for girl power.
Not your first marathon, I believe.
No, this will be 17, and I'm doing the 6 majors. So I've just done Tokyo and New York last year, and then this year Chicago, Berlin. 2024 will be the number 6, and then that's a week before London, so a week rest, but girl power.
Girl power. You have to laugh a little bit because the other choice would be to cry. If this news reporter had interviewed any actual woman, do you think the woman would have ended her interview by saying, "Girl power, yeah, well, listen here, John and George always love to talk about girl power." That's the only British accent I can really do is Paul McCartney. No, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't feel the need to call attention to the fact that they are women because they know that they're women. Everyone knows that they're women. Okay, we can move on. The transgender movement insists upon this. This is why they wear the most ridiculous clothing. This is why they're constantly talking about womanhood. This is why they're constantly harping on their pronouns and how wonderful it is to be a woman. This is why Dylan Mulvaney has made his entire, now quite lucrative career on what it is to be a woman every single day. This isn't just about some people with some quirky sexual ideas trying to pass and live their own lives in society. It's never been about that. It's always about forcing this preposterous ideology down everybody's throat. Every single public expression of transgenderism amounts to this guy's interview. Yeah, girl power. Yeah, I'm a woman. 365th day of being a woman. I'm a woman. Oh gosh, being a woman, it's so hard. We got to go out shopping, buy dresses. Oh, I just love being a woman. I'm a woman. Look at me. Look at me. And they do this because they want you to lie. They want it to be impossible for you to ignore or politely sort of turn your eyes away from their absurdity. You have to engage with it, and you have to go along with it, and you have to assent to it. You have to affirm it. You have to lie. You have to lie. If we establish transgenderism in public life, you will have to lie. That is the point. There's no getting away. There's no live and let live. It was never about live and let live. Right now, go to ramp.com/Knowles. Do you want a better way to simplify your business finances across expenses, vendor payments, and accounting? If so, Ramp could be a complete game changer for your business. Ramp is a corporate card and expense management software designed to help you save time and money. With Ramp, you can issue cards to every employee with limits and restrictions and automate expense reporting so you can stop wasting time at the end of every month. Ramp's accounting software automatically collects receipts and categorizes your expenses in real time so you don't have to. The time you'll save each month on employee expenses will allow you to close your books 8 times faster. Businesses that use Ramp save an average of 3.5% within the first year. Ramp is easy to use. Get started in less than 15 minutes, whether you have 5 employees or 5,000. Right now, you can get $250 off when you join Ramp. Go to ramp.com/Knowles, Knowles. That is ramp.com/Knowles. Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. A widow named Jessica Bates wants to adopt children out of the foster care system. She lives in the state of Oregon. She can't do it. She can't do it. Why? Because she's Christian. Jessica Bates was widowed some 6 years ago in a car accident. She was already months into the adoption process when she noticed an emphasis on supporting LGBTism, the LGBT movement. Specifically, respecting, accepting, and supporting the sexual orientation or gender identity of any child placed into her home. So she could get a little boy to take in and care for out of the foster care system, and then one day the boy says, I'm actually a little girl, and the adoption system says you have to treat the little boy as a little girl. She says, well, I can't do that. That would be a lie. It's just not true, and it's certainly out of line with my Christian beliefs. And so the foster care system says, okay, well, you can't have a kid. You can't adopt a kid. The throuple, the gay throuple, 3 dudes that we talked about on the show last week, they can adopt a child, no problem. But this lovely Christian widow is not allowed to adopt a child out of the foster care system, not even a newborn child. Newborn children are harder to adopt. She can't even take in a poor kid out of the foster care system because she's Christian. According to the system, it would be child abuse if she took in that kid. The gay throuple takes in a kid. That's wonderful. That's so beautiful. That should get headlines all over the world. But a Christian woman takes in a kid. No, that's child abuse. And it has to be one or the other. The answer to this problem is not tolerance. The answer to this problem is not diversity. The answer to this problem is not, wow, can you believe how crazy the foster care system is? Yeah, it is crazy. But think about it from their perspective. The foster care system believes, the foster care system in this case just being an arm of the state representing the crazy ideas that have recently been enshrined in our law, they view the situation as some men are born in the bodies of women, some women are born in the bodies of men. There is no higher moral calling than to do whatever feels good sensually and physically. And so if you are you think you're a woman, but you're in the physical form of a man, you need to have access to cross-sex hormones. You need to have the ability to chop off your genitals. You need to wear stilettos and a dress. You need to be called she and her. You need to. Otherwise, you'll contradict your true self. You'll become anxious. You'll become depressed. You'll become suicidal. It would be child abuse for a trans kid to be raised in a Christian home. That's what they believe. That's the idea enshrined in our law, certainly in Oregon, but in a lot of places around the country. Frankly, even at the federal level, because of those 2 stupid Supreme Court decisions in 2020, Bostock and the Harris Funeral Homes case, which enshrined the idea of transgenderism in the federal law until we can undo it once we get enough conservative judges and enough political momentum. That's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Might have to wait a little while, as we had to wait with Roe v. Wade, but we can build toward that. And we have to do that because the consequence of enshrining that into law is that Christian women are not allowed to adopt kids, but gay throuples are. It has to be that way. Or, conversely, if boys can't really be girls, and if sexually confused little boys and girls should not be pumped full of poison and have their genitals chopped off, and if the science shows, the largest data set on this shows that actually the transgender procedures, surgical and hormonal, do not alleviate depression and anxiety and suicidality and all the other conditions associated with transgender ideology, if actually, at least in one case, in the case of anxiety, they make the condition worse, well, then that would be child abuse. In that world, if all of that stuff is true, which it obviously is, then to raise a child and raise a little boy and pretend he's a little girl, that's child abuse. And that person should not be allowed to adopt children. And the gay throuple with all the crazy sexual ideas and anthropological ideas, that trio should not be allowed to adopt kids. But it has to be one or the other, because the state has a legitimate interest in preventing child abuse. And so therefore the state has to form ideas on what child abuse is. So what's child abuse? Raising a kid to believe in God and believe in all the stuff that all the wise people from our generation, from our civilization have always believed across the generations? Or to tell a kid that he's really the opposite sex and pump him full of poison and chop him up, which is child abuse. We all know the answer to that. But our present day culture will not tolerate the true answer, because a small handful of liberal elites are working in concert with the principalities and the powers of this world to suppress the truth and to promote evil. It's exactly what Tucker alluded to in his Heritage Foundation speech. And that's the sort of thing you're not allowed to say. You're at least not allowed to say it on mainstream cable TV. On the biggest name in news, you're not allowed to say that. It's too true. We got to pick one. What are we going to live according to? As Tucker made beautifully clear in his speech, we used to think of politics as you write your white paper and I write my white paper, and we have a debate of ideas over which policy is going to be conducive toward the end that we all agree on. That's over. That's over. Now the question is, do kids get to be raised in a Christian household, period? Or are they going to be raised by the throuple transing them? You pick. It's your society. It's supposed to be your society. It's supposed to be a self-government. Is it still? I'm not sure. That was a really great clip. I know, I agree. If you want more of them, you got to subscribe. Ring that bell, hit that like, honk that horn. I don't know, whatever you have to do. Subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.